Hey, what's up? Um, Bitcoin is up. We're getting a little bit of a bounce, which I like to see. I had a lot of people ask me today, like, what was I looking at? And they were kind of confused on what I was saying. So I just want to reiterate real quick. Um, at first, I was looking at 9,600, 9,700 as a support level, which I still think is a support level, even though we traded through it and got to around 9,100. There's a concept called filtering, which I'm going to show here in a second on the chart, where it's not an official break. So even though it went through 9,600, kind of at the area that I bought, um, my that's where I thought would hold. Of course, we traded through it, but we're bounced back through it, so I like it this way. Um, the 8,500 call was the next level that I was going to buy more if it went to that level and went down there. And not to say that it won't go down there because we're not out of the woods yet. I personally like to see, uh, something above 10.8. A close above 10.8 would help solidify that low of 9,100 here in the near term. But we're going to go a little bit, we're going to have to wait that out a little bit. So 85 is definitely still in the cards. We're not out of the woods yet. So, but I wanted to say, well, now what? Now what are we looking at? So I'm gonna look at a daily chart here, and a couple of things that I looked at of why I thought maybe a bounce would be coming and why some support would be coming. So enough looking at me. Let's go look at the chart. All right, daily things I have on this chart. These dotted blue lines are just kind of trend lines here. The red Fibonacci retracement levels are on here, and I got three moving averages, the 21, 34, and 55. The one I'm really highlighting in this video is going to be the 55 exponential moving average, that dark purple. I have the ADX on here, which is the black line here, and then I got the red and the green directional index lines, and then down below the RSI. So I'm just going to kind of go through this. Let me blow this up a little bit here, so you can kind of see what we're looking at. All right, first of all, um, why I thought maybe we would get it. Oh, first of all, let's talk about filtering. Filtering to me is really a kind of way to, like if something trades through a level, like the level that I'm looking at right now is this 55 exponential moving average. What I like to see in whatever period you're looking at, and this is a daily chart, I like to see at least three consecutive closes below a certain level to say that it's, kind of a legitimate break of that support level. See, like we had a large red candle down here under the 55 and had a close. The next day was still underneath it. It didn't close. And then we went into the next one, and then it popped up. So this third is likely going to close. I know we still have, a couple hours left here before it actually closes. So if it actually gets down below this 55 exponential on the close for the third consecutive time, then I'd be a little bit more nervous of it falling back down into the 7,400 to 8,500 level. But since it rallied back up and got above that level, it kind of negates the break. So I still like this area as of support. Now we're running into a little bit of resistance at the 21 exponential moving average, which I think we need to get above, and that's what I'm saying. I'd like to see it get above 10.8 or so, before I would consider this thing to be even remotely done to the downside. So there's still some risk to be had to the downside for sure. So we'll keep that in mind. So that's kind of filtering three consecutive closes, whatever period you're looking at. This is a daily, so it's 3 days. If you're looking at a 12-hour, it'll be three 12-hour candles, those kind of things. Unless it gets down to a certain level, that closes below it. And I was kind of looking at this high over here. It kind of met that and bounced, which I kind of liked. So I wasn't really saying a break just yet, but I was leaving that 8,500 open because if it did drop down there, that'd be my next level of buying. So given that, that's kind of what filtering is. Any questions on that, let me know. Next thing of why I was thinking a bounce. Look back here in March. All of the same kind of scenario is going on. The 61.8% levels right here at 37.92. and the 55 exponential moving average is right there. The price is pumping down through the moving average and also kind of going underneath the 61.8% level, which in this case, kind of the same thing. The 98.95 here was pushing down through, and it was also going down through the 55. Well, what was happening in the internals when this was going on is when the price was trying to break that level, the ADX was losing momentum, and then and the and as the bears are trying to take control. Yes, the lines kind of tangled up in here as the ADX is dropping, but so it's basically showing you an area of consolidation with not enough momentum to push through to break the trend of the overall trend, which in this case is bullish since it kind of pumped up above that 55 exponential moving average with a test, and then it continues on out into the future. So same kind of thing here, just a little bit more wild swings, but the same kind of thing was happening as price was coming down here and it was breaking the moving average and the Fibonacci level. The ADX was dropping the entire time as the bears were trying to take control. So this indicator was indicating a bearish correction in an overall bullish market. Now it was getting a little eerie right here, but the momentum was still not building as prices were trying to break that level. So now we're all tied up on the directional index line. So it's really not giving you a sense of strong direction here. So maybe more consolidation could be had. So we might be able to see some moves in between 9,800 and that 10.8 or so, unless momentum starts to kick in for one of these two. So we're going to keep an eye on that. And of course, we can go to lower time frames and look and see what's going on there. But I'm just going to go over the daily for this slideshow here. The RSI is another thing I was looking at. Was back when we were looking at the trend lines here, you had this major move to the downside, and this was that low. So really, when you look back in history, this was the low that kind of changed direction. And so like when we popped up, when this was a negative here, and we got this double low here, and then you got this kind of divergence that's going against it. On the break of this candle to the upside is when we broke this level right here. So if you take this support, which is now, or resistance, which is now support, draw this out into the future, that's going to be an area that I'm going to be watching for a signal that, we're going to kind of get out of this bullish zone. Now we came down here, kind of tested at this point. Even when we came up and tested this point, the RSI was not even dropping back down. So it was relatively still strong with some buying interest as we were going forward. So as this came down and broke this 55 exponential moving average here and the Fibonacci level, it really, it was getting pretty low, but it wasn't breaking this level that I would like to see for kind of a switch in this whole indicator. So to me, anything above this line is still longer term bullish scenario. It's just, this was just moving down, and I like to see the RSI to come down like this to gather up to an area of a little bit more neutrality to bring some more buyers back into the market. So those were two things I was watching. The ADX with dropping momentum for the bears as prices were coming down, so it wasn't really gaining strength. And then the RSI was coming down, but it wasn't coming down far enough to switch over for my liking to show a little bit of bullishness there. Now, these are just two indicators. I have about 2 or 3 other ones that are a little bit more proprietary that I'm going to kind of keep to myself because my day job requires me to do things for clients, and I can't give that kind of stuff away. But those are two things that I look at for what I'm looking at on these charts. So what do we do now? We kind of wait here. I still think this 55 exponential moving average at 9,800, where it's at the moment. Let's see. Yeah, 98.75 is where it's at the moment. So that becomes support again, which it always has been, even though we kind of traded through it without a lot of momentum. So I say we're going higher. I still like the look that I've had for a while. I'm hoping that this was an ABC expanded flat. If you watched my last video, I kind of talked about that, and then we should bounce from here. And maybe this is the start of the last wave to the upside. And I'm hoping that we, get some highs above the 13.8, over the next month. and then work our way up into that 16K target that I like. So we'll see what happens. But some of the areas of support to watch, of course, a new low here, or a break of this with momentum being like, if this ADX starts to kick up and the bears start to kick up also as its price is approaching and this RSI drops, I'd be a little nervous to where it would kind of switch direction. But I'm sticking with the primary trend is bullish, and we're going to kind of continue forward and onward and upward. So that's what I got. I know I'm kind of rambling here, so hopefully you got something out of it. Any questions or comments? I'm out at FiboSwanny out on Twitter. Again, peace out and happy trading.